Hi, thank you very much for watching this video. This is Mohammed Mujahid Hussain Chowdhury. I am a PhD student at Australian Maritime College, University of Tasmania, and I'm also working as an assistant professor in maritime logistics at Bangladesh Maritime University. Today I'm going to share one of our recently published research paper, which is the first outcome of my doctoral PhD research here at Australian Maritime College, Achieving Port Sustainability Through the Triple Bottom Line Framework, a review. I thought that these days we don't have that much time to read the whole paper, so why not develop a 8 to 10 minutes or maybe maximum 12 minutes video so that to share with you so you can just like have a quick grow through of the of my research. And I will be sharing the downloadable link in the description box or the comment so that you can easily download without any cost. You can go through the whole paper. And okay, so let's start on the specific research question what we have developed in our doctoral work, in my doctoral work. So the first research question was, what are the sustainable port management practices described in the existing literature based on the triple bottom line approach or triple bottom line framework? So triple bottom line framework, which has been proposed by John Elkington in 1997. John proposed that sustainability should not only emphasize on the environmental perspective. Rather, sustainability should emphasize hand in hand simultaneously environmental, social, and economic aspects too. So that's why in this research we have adopted this TBL approach or TBL framework, triple bottom line. We have simultaneously emphasized on the paper related with environmental, social, and economic sustainability. And then we have identified the holistic set of sustainable port management practices based on these three dimensions. And then we have aligned these practices with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, how these practices can be used to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goal. Then we have identified the managerial focus because sustainability is adopted by many regions. So we have identified and we have provided the framework how it is identified and what should the managerial focus in that scenario. So just before starting, we have used some concepts and which we have discourses in our research. So the first one is about the green port versus sustainable port. So in the literature, it says green port. Normally, when you talk about the green port, it mainly focuses about the environmental aspects of the sustainability or environmental sustainability of the port operation. On top of that, sustainable port is a comprehensive idea for focusing like a three dimension of sustainability. So, and then we have discussed about the practices, drivers, factors, and measures. Because in the port sustainability research, these four things are having the fuzziness, like not clear to many. So in this study, we have used practices. Practices we identified from the literature that which an organization adopt regular basis to achieve certain goal or objectives. So now we'll show just how we have collected that. Actually, we have rigorously reviewed the two databases. One is scientific databases, one is Scopus, another is Web of Science. So we have collected into to 179 papers and we have screened out many papers. And finally, we have synthesized 32 papers and read rigorously. And finally, we concluded the sustainable port management practices from these papers. So now we will see the holistic set of sustainable port management practices, what we have concluded in our study. So we have, as I have mentioned earlier, we have environmental, social, and economic dimensions of sustainable port operation. So we have identified 26 sustainable port management practices, 13 from environmental, 6 from social, and 9 from economic practices. What are these? Like, for example, onshore power supply. This is one of the environmental sustainable port management practices, or like alternative and renewable energy integration in the port operation. It is another environmental sustainable port management practices. For example, 6 we have identified from the social perspective, which are like gender equity, then health, hygiene, and safety issues in the port operation, and in economic, like strong hinterland connectivity. So these are the economic sustainable practices we'll be going through in detail in upcoming slides. So we have shown the brief definition of these 26 sustainable port management practices, what it actually means, then from which literature they have talked about these practices, and most importantly, we have explored the ports around the world, and we have reviewed also World Port Sustainability Program database, which shows the sustainability adoption by the projects by the ports around the world. So we have reviewed this, and we have aligned their sustainable practices with the related ports. And then we have identified the UN Sustainable Development Goal. We have read the UN Sustainable Development Goals specific targets, and we have aligned this target with the sustainable port management practices. We'll discuss in the upcoming slides. So if you want to have a look on our paper, we'll refer to table number 2, table number 3, and table number 4 to get these 13, 6, and 7 environmental, social, and economic sustainable port management practices, respectively. This is an interesting framework what we have developed from our research. So these are actually the environmental sustainable practices, as I have mentioned from our research. So I will not explain one by one. I'll just show the framework. For explanation, I would request you to go through our paper. So here actually we have firstly identified the enablers, or the enabling mechanisms for sustainability. What actually enabling a port to adopt sustainability? So we have identified four enabling mechanisms. We didn't give any sources of literature in this framework. If you want to see the source, you need to go to the paper. So like institutional readiness, stakeholder pressure, sustainability is taken as part of the pressure from the stakeholder, like the shipping companies, shipping agents, freight forwarders, or like broader stakeholder who are dwellers in the city, or like the residents who are very close proximity, living close proximity to the port city. And then available resources, if they have like financial, physical capacity, these are the enabling mechanisms. And innovation readiness, like different generation of the ports, innovation adoption. Like in stakeholder theory, one concept we call the mimetic pressure. So this is also caused the sustainability adoption. Now, then we have shown our sustainable port management practices, what we have identified. Then we have identified from the literature the exogenous factors, like which is actually, I will say restricting or not restricting, what are the determinants of the port sustainability, adoption. So one of them is like port governance model. So we have service port, we have landlord port, we have tool port, we have private port. So the port administrative or governance model, they are excuse me, so they are appreciating sustainability in different way. And then ports geographical position, like Port of Brisbane, they are very sensitive because Great Barrier Reef is here. Port volume throughput, like some port they are producing high, they require more sustainable practices. Some port which are regional port, like they are producing, they are handling less. So this is they control this. Port network, like network types, like Singapore ports, which is a regional, global hub. Then some of the ports like Colombo, which is a Sri Lankan port, which is a regional hub. So these are the practices, these are the factors which influence to adopt the customized set of sustainable port management practices. So this is the conclusion we have provided from this framework. Now, if you go through our paper, interestingly, we have developed this Sankey diagram, and we have aligned sustainable port management practice like for onshore power supply. So it helps to achieve UN Sustainable Development Goal 7, then UN Sustainable Development Goal 9, then UN Sustainable Development Goal 11. Likewise, we have discussed in our paper. So if you go through, you may, if a port is specifically planning to achieve a certain threshold of sustainable port management practices. For example, it is as part of their national commitment. So they may go these specific sustainable development goals and then and adopt the SPMPs, like sustainable port management practices, to achieve this. So we have developed this framework from our study. And this is the most interesting outcome of our research. So, as I have mentioned earlier, sustainability is adopted mainly for the three reasons. So, the first one is as part of the regulation, like regulation forced them to adopt sustainability. Okay. And the second thing, as part of the operational efficiency, to increase the operational efficiency in port operation, and as part of the social commitment, as a society, social element, the board should also concentrate on the on the sustainability adoption. So then we developed 3 by 3 metrics. So these are the environmental, social, and economic practices. These are the drivers to adopt sustainability in port operation. And then we have put specific SPMP, sustainable port management practices, in a specific place. And very interestingly, we have shown if, for example, sustainability has to adopt as part of the regulation, and what will be the sustainable practices from environmental perspective, what will be the sustainable practices from social perspective, what will be the sustainable practices for the from the economic perspective. In that condition, what will be the managerial focus of the port? So like port should monitor, inspect, and reporting. If sustainability has to take as part of to increase the operational efficiency, what will be the environmental, what will be the social, what will be the economic? So we have, in that case, what will be the managerial focus? That's what we have developed. So uh, this is very interesting outcome of our research. And if you go through this framework and the related discussion, what we have incorporated in our thesis, in our sorry article, then you may get to know the whole picture. So what future research direction? It is actually mainly for the researchers. So what what can be the takeaway message from this research? So these are from the literature review. You may say these are the contribution or like the sustainable port management practices emphasized and focused by the researchers all over the world. But there is still some gap, we'll say, because some practices which are adopted by the port around the world, which researchers may not streamlined in their research. So in that case, there is a gap that we can emphasize the port's real adoption practices. And just I wanted to share with you another of my research paper, which is now under review. In that research paper, we have reviewed 302 sustainable projects around the world taken by the 88 ports around the world from the 88 countries. I'll not give you the whole picture now. Please wait and see my research. It is very interesting paper. We have seen like some practices which are still not that much focused on the academia, but port has adopted these practices. So which is now under review. We'll publish it soon. So this is a gap which we can work further. And then from this set of sustainable port management practices, we may see um, what could be the prioritized practices. For example, because of the AI tool, or like because of the technological development, some port might be prioritizing to incorporate the digitalization or infrastructural development. But in that condition, another issue comes, which is cybersecurity. So, what are the priority among these sets? That is also need to be investigated in upcoming research. And very interestingly, if we can develop a ranking or benchmarking, ranking might be within the quotation, because we may not say ranking, because port sustainability adoption differs based on many factors, as we have shown in our one of the framework, like ports governance model, regional port, geographical and environmental sensitivity of the port, port volume of cargo throughput, many things. But we can develop a benchmark so that the port around the world, they can compare within the benchmark and increase their adoption strategy of the sustainability. And finally, what I have discussed just now, because sustainable port operation differs port to port, so we may develop a customized, sustainable port management practices adoption framework, which will tell us what should be the specific set of sustainable port management practices for your port, because we should not recommend the same size of shoe for all the people, because it differs based on the height of the length of the leg. So like these, port differs, of course, is a lot of factors. So we have to firstly consider that, and then we have to develop this framework. So we should wait for the next research. And I thank you all for listening to my video, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.